Hi, hello everyone. My name is Fabrício Kika. I'm a senior lecturer at Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand, and today I would like to introduce or to present to you the findings of my research. This research was carried out by me, Fabrício Kika, Brenda Vale, and Robert Vale, also from Victoria University of Wellington. In this research, we measured the environmental impact of families in different parts of the world, and you compared and we identified good habits and bad habits, and we're gonna present all to you right now here in Video Science Journal. Thank you for watching, and click the like, subscribe, and you're gonna have more videos presenting academic research here. So I hope you guys enjoy. So all the findings from this research end up becoming a book, which is called Everyday Lifestyle and Sustainability. It was written by me, Brenda Vale, and Robert Vale, as I mentioned before. And today I'm going to introduce some of the findings, of course, not all of them. And if you're interested, I'm going to leave the link in the description, and you can find more information about the book and how to buy and do whatever you want. And you're probably going to find it in your library at your university. So what is this research about? So this research is literally measuring environmental impact of families in different parts of the world. The structure of the research is started from previous research, right? So first, Brenda and Robert Vale wrote this book together, Time to Eat the Dog, where they measure environmental impact of hundreds of things, followed by another book, this time edited by them, where they collect a lot of information regarding environmental impact and habits. And it's a book called Living Within Fair Share Ecological Footprint. I wrote a chapter in that book. And my PhD thesis, where I created a tool to measure environmental impact in urban areas. From this research, we established a very interesting process of comparing families, right? We identify families all over the world. We identify researchers that visit those families and measure the environmental impact. And that was inspired by those images. I came across these images on the internet some years ago, and I was shocked by the difference in eating habits of families all over the world. And it was very clear that there was huge differences in terms of environmental impact of these families regarding what they eat. And we had some very interesting findings regarding eating habits among the families that we researched. So the structure of this research covered 21 countries and 23 families. Some countries, we had more than one family because the families were very diverse. So we are talking about Canada, USA, Cuba, Brazil, Argentina, Finland, England, United Kingdom, Germany, Morocco, South Sudan, Mozambique, South Africa, Mongolia, Japan, India, Myanmar, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, Tonga, and finally New Zealand. So as you can see in the map, we have a very good coverage, countries from all continents. Important things, this book is divided in two parts. The first part is a description of families, their weekly routine, what they do every day of the week, and we extrapolate throughout the year. And we calculate the environmental impact of each family according to that description. Of course, we adapt and we try, we follow this week, we track this family for a week, and we also ask how the habits change throughout the year in terms of energy consumption, for example, eating habits, and so on. We visit these families for a week, we measure the environmental impact from a week, and we compare and you calculate the environmental impact of the entire year, considering that week and the difference throughout the year, especially in countries that seasons are very different. This book had 14 researchers, plus us, the 3 editors, and the researchers were from 11 different countries, right? And that's a list of them, and I thank you all for the contribution that they provide, and we have an intern. I personally visit some countries, and I personally live with families for a week, so those are kind of drafts that I took throughout this research. This is me when I lived with this Indian family for a week. That's their space, and they were calculated, and all the routine of all the families are richly described in the book. So when you read the book, is very fun to read because you get to know and to understand how these people live. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. So what did we measure? We measured energy, transportation, housing, consumption goods, and food eating habits. Those are what we cover. We didn't cover everything, of course. There were in this research there are two environmental impact index or measurement ways, through ecological footprint and carbon footprint. Today, I'm going to be talking basically about carbon footprint, not ecological footprint. So, what did you have there? In terms of in the structure of research, what we didn't want to do is we didn't aim to provide an average or typical family for each country. So those families do not represent their country. So if you talk about the German family, it's not typical German family. So that wasn't the idea. And this research did not aim to identify countries' environmental performance. So it's not a ranking of countries and saying what country has the best performance. We didn't do that. That it wasn't what we wanted. What we did want, on the other hand, was to identify good environmental habits and lifestyle. So because families are very similar in their day by day. So they wake up, they have their breakfast, they go to work, kids go to school, but some families have a very different impact to each other. When you try to identify what makes a family more sustainable or less sustainable. And by the end of the day, we want to explain to people why these differences happen, even among countries with very similar development index. So some of the families, very quickly, just to give an example. So we have a family from Myanmar, from the very countryside, a place called Inle Lake. We visit those families, we identify their habits, we got what they've done. It is very, very interesting. So in this case, the mother works in a hotel. The dad is more versatile. He's a fisherman, farmer, a tourist guy. He has a little boat when he moves people around. It's fascinating, and it was a great place to visit, by the way. And also the next one is, for example, is a Cuban family, very different situation. The mother work as a police. The father is an engineer and a taxi driver. It was very interesting. The contrast, where they live, the space they live, what they have, the possessions, especially because it's a communist country, which is very, very, very interesting. The findings were remarkable as well. The research also, it was very vast. As you saw, we have New Zealand family. We have visit the family in Mongolia in the winter, which was tough. Mozambique. Some of the families are families from refugee camps, which it was interesting to understand what how they live and the impact that they cause. It was very rich in details, the way that we describe the families, which is actually cool. Moving on. So what we can see in terms of results were surprising, and I'm going to explain why. Particularly regarding food, we expected that food would have a large environmental impact among the families that we measured. Energy was the highest environmental impact. So remember, I talk about families, so we're mostly talk about electricity. Transport was also very high, and food comes along with consumer goods, right? Things that people buy every day that's not for eating, and they are not appliances. Interestingly enough, we expect food to be higher because there are some reports. So reports from United Nations showing, for example, that only waste represent around 15%, between 14 and 15% of the greenhouse emissions. So it's pretty high. So we're expecting something high. We also know from an old report, the famous livestock's long shadow, that the environmental impact from livestock is higher than transportation. So we expected a little bit higher in food. We also know is very well published, the emissions from food loss, food that's not eating. So in the UK, for example, the environmental impact is huge. So the research that I put there, the article that I put there, mentioned the environmental impact of food waste. So we would expect that came as a surprise, is a surprise for us, that food scores only 13. So 33% of the environmental impact, a third of environmental impact from families that we measured came from energy. But let's dive into the data, the CO2 emissions for each item, and let's see what we have. So we have the American family, the rural American family, the family from the United States is scoring very high. So each person in that family have an emission of around 10.5 tons of CO2 per year. It's very high, and it's much higher than the second one, which is Canada. And it goes all the way down. So as I said, our intention is not to measure or create a ranking of countries. It's not what this research is doing. So this is the table to make us understand a little bit better what we are talking about. And I'm going to highlight some stuff. So first stuff that I'm highlighting here is the reasons why the American family has a very high environmental impact. It's not food. Some of the members of the family are vegetarian, so it's actually relatively low. What is high is transportation, because these people, they drive around 100 kilometers a day for commuting. So it's a very high environmental impact. And they have a very big American saloon car. So they have 4 tons of CO2 related to driving, essentially. And energy comes from coal. Part of the energy mix that provides energy for that family is coal. So it's also very high. It's a very high impact. We also, if you compare with American families, so if you see this table is divided in 3 tiers, right? The first one is the very high environmental impact, followed by a little bit lower environmental impact, medium range, and then the very low range. So American urban family is kind of low. It's around 2.1 tons of CO2 per person per year. It's not too high. It's in middle range compared with the other families. Same thing happens in Brazil. So the Brazilian rural family has a very large environmental impact, and the Brazilian urban family doesn't have a very high impact. It's also middle range. And another one that I would like to highlight is Japan. So Japan is a highly developed country with very low environmental impact. Not Japan, sorry. The Japanese family that we researched had a very low environmental impact, particularly because they have very good eating habits, very low. Basically, their diet is based in vegetables, and they use a lot of very efficient public transportation, which make the environmental impact very, very low. Of course, it's important to highlight, and if you go through the book, you see what we are talking about regarding good habits and bad habits. So the book is full of details, and we're going to present more videos with more findings. The next one will be about food. We're going to dive into the food findings in this book. There are lots of very interesting things. You're going to understand why some aspects of our eating cause a very, very large environmental impact. Thank you guys for watching. You can connect with us. You can see my email in the description, so you can get in touch. I would love to get in touch with you guys. You can also leave your comments. I'm open for collaboration, academic collaboration and research. So if you are keen, just get in contact and I'll be very happy to talk to you. Don't forget, if you like, click the like and subscribe here in this channel, where we're going to get a lot of very good information, academic research for you. Thank you for watching. See you guys soon.